Hello, my good people. Chris Prophy, musically obsessed. How's everyone doing today? I tell you, I'm losing track of the days. But I think today's Tuesday. What you hear in the background is Herbie Hancock, Direct Step. This was a record store day release from last year. Came out in the 70s. I believe it was only released in Japan. Loving it. Been spinning this morning. The second side is only one song on it called I Thought It Was You, and that's what's playing in the background. Just a great song. Love it. Just funky. Love Herbie. So that's going to be joining us today during this video. But what I'm talking about today is the band Nektar. And I got a request from a good friend in the VC named John Bellamy. And he wanted me to talk about the album Recycled by Nektar. So I figured I would do it. I've been wanting to really delve into that album and listen to it deeply. So I did, this morning, a couple times through actually. So it's been fun. I have two Nektar releases. I have Nektar Remember the Future on CD, which is awesome. And the other one is Recycled. And this is the one I'm going to be talking about today. The first thing I want to point out is just look at that cover. Amazing. Amazing artwork. And this is a gatefold. It opens to the lyrics. And I was having so much fun this morning. I was listening to the album and reading the lyrics. And I'm like, yeah, this is what I like. This is one of the things I love about vinyl, just having that aspect, that physical aspect. And, just to look at that artwork as you're listening to the music, it's great. This was Nektar's 6th album on Passport Records. And that's what the label looks like. How would I describe Nektar? They are definitely progressive rock. But there's also elements of space rock in there. And when I say space rock, I'm specifically talking about the band Hawkwind. I hear some Hawkwind in this stuff. So if you like Hawkwind, this would be right up your alley. This is a concept record about the environment. And it's broken up into 2 parts. Side 1 has part 1 and side 2 has part 2. That makes sense. And then under each part, you have different songs that are labeled A, B, C, D, and so on. The thing is, though, it's almost like one continuous song because there's no breaks between the songs. It's just one movement, one song cycle. And so it makes for an interesting listen. It reminds me of some of those early Moody Blues albums. But in those Moody Blues albums, the song would actually fade out a little bit. These don't fade out at all. It just goes one into the next. So it's really cool. Part 1 is about a nightmare future where only recycled energy remains. Yeah, I'm gonna have to really think about that concept and listen to this even more. And as I was listening to this today, I was like, why don't I listen to this more often? It's a great album. So let me get into the songs. All right, so part 1, Song A is called Recycle. And the first thing I noticed right off the bat is the production. This album sounds amazing. Punchy production. You can hear all the instruments. It's just great. I get a yes vibe right away. Great keyboards by Taff Freeman. Awesome vocals by Roy Albrighton. Hopefully I'm saying these names correctly. I want to talk about his voice a little bit because a lot of times in prog rock, you get vocals that sometimes you either like or don't like, or you play it for somebody and they go, yeah, I like the music, but the vocals, These vocals, Roy's got such a smooth voice. One of those voices where like he could sing the phone book. And he has the range. He has the ability to hit those high notes. He hits those high notes, but it's in such a smooth way. So that jumped out at me right away when I was listening to these songs. Part B is called Cybernetic Consumption. This is an instrumental. More great keyboards. You hear some machine sounds in the background. There's some heavy guitar riffing as well. So just off of these first 2 songs, there's a lot going on. So there's a lot to digest as you're listening, but it makes for a really cool listen. Definitely top-notch prog rock. Song C, called Recycle Countdown. This brings back the same melody that was in the song Recycle. And what a great melody it is. It's one of those melodies that does get stuck in your head. And like I said, the vocals are just so smooth and beautiful. Love it. Song D, called Automation Horoscope. It starts off with this spoken word section over like spacey keyboards. Definitely get the Hawkwind vibe there. And then you get some great guitar work again. This one has a poppy melody to it. Radio-friendly vocals by Royal Brighton. Real smooth, high but controlled vocals. And again, that poppy melody. It's radio-friendly. I mean, I don't know if they released this as a single or if any singles were released off this album, but Automation Horoscope, great song. Song E, called Recycling. Grand song. Great melody. Love it. Song F, called Flight to Reality. This brings back the melody that was introduced in Automation Horoscope. And again, you hear that melody, that poppy melody, and you're like, yeah, this is just perfect to hear on the radio. So it's got a prog element, but it's also got that pop element as well. And then the last song G, called An Endless Imagination. I believe it's slide guitar work, because as I'm listening to it, it reminded me of the stuff in Yes, Going for the One. Listen to it, tell me what you think. This song has a huge vocal choir in it as well. And I looked at the liner notes, they're called the English Chorale. So you get this choir singing along. It's just this grand way to end side one. Wow, just great stuff. I just want to show that cover again. Get it in your head. Nektar. Now, let me turn the page here. Part 2 is side 2. And the concept on this side is it's present day, and tourism is spoiling some of the untouched wilderness around. So some real heady topics here. Again, you have seamless songs just transitioning into each other. It's just one complete song cycle. Side 2 sounds totally different than side 1. It starts off with the song A, called Sal Paulo Sunrise. And it starts off right off the bat, you hear a choir, and then it starts to build. It breaks into this disco-esque groove. I get an ELO vibe when I'm listening to it. And it's a great rhythmic song, and it's cool to hear the disco vibe. It's not a cheesy disco vibe. It's just got some groove to it. Some great bass work, but it's a departure from side 1, but it's a welcome departure because I just like the difference. Song B is called Costa del Sol. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Again, you hear the choir in the background. Great piano by Taff Freeman. Listen to the bass work. The bassist's name is Mo Moore. Side 2, he's really shining. That bass is he's got that disco sort of rhythm to his bass playing, and it just continues with that disco, that upbeat groove. Side 2 is lighter than side 1. Song C is called Marvelous Moses. Now this is the longest song on the album. It's over 6 minutes long. This has a slower groove, and again, I'm hearing that crystal clear production, very punchy. It's a great sounding album. It reminds me of an album that you'd want to play to test out a turntable. It's awesome. Again, more smooth vocals. It's got a great midsection breakdown with some heavy guitar, some keyboard work. I'm hearing some Alan Parsons in this song. So yeah, a lot of good stuff. You're hearing Yes, you're hearing Alan Parsons, you're hearing ELO, you're hearing Hawkwind. So many good elements to this music. And then the last song, song D, is called It's All Over. This is the second longest song. It's a little over 5 minutes long. It starts off spacey and atmospheric, and then this acoustic guitar comes in, and you get that ballad vibe. Beautiful vocals again, and more great keyboard work. And it sort of has that ending sound to it. You know this song cycle is coming to a conclusion. And the album ends, and for me anyways, I want to listen to it again. It's that good. Again, Nektar, Recycled. I don't know why I don't listen to this more. I'm so glad that John asked me to do a review of this album. And I'm going to listen to it even more today. But if you don't know too much about Nektar, this seems like a good place to start. You know, I was reading some reviews about it. I guess back in the day when it was released, I don't know if it got such great reviews. I think it was a little bit of a departure from the early stuff. Maybe not as proggy, maybe not as experimental. So it definitely maybe has more of a pop edge to it, but I don't know. I dig it. So listen, check out Nektar and enjoy the rest of your day. Listen to remember the future or recycled. All right, guys.